Now, still standing at the podium, we have Rep. presenting House Bill 943, Real Property and Land Use and Development by Rep. Lopez. Representative Lopez, you are recognized to explain HB 943.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. This is House Bill 943. Is a real culmination of a year's worth of work. As many of you know, I've been involved in housing issues, whether they're condominium years, and when we got home from session last year, I started to meet with over 100 stakeholders regarding the affordable housing crisis that we still have, that was in existence and really came to bear during the pandemic and continues in our communities. So House Bill 943 amends Florida's real property, land use, and development regulations to promote affordable housing. It requires the counties and municipalities to approve affordable housing projects under specific conditions and introduces new zoning and development guidelines to facilitate mixed use and multifamily residential development. House Bill 943 significantly uses local land use policies to encourage affordable housing, reduce bureaucratic barriers, and expedite project approvals. By preventing excessive local restrictions, the legislation aims to increase housing supply and affordability across Florida. Some of the key provisions that the bill includes is affordable housing approvals, multifamily and mixed-use residential zoning, preemptions on local government restrictions, expedited administrative and judicial processes, impact fee reductions for affordable housing, urban fill development approvals, redefinition of urban service areas, prohibition of land use discrimination, school board authority in affordable housing, tax exemptions for affordable housing, revised development impact assessments, expedited foreclosure on abandoned properties, expanded housing financing, state preemption over local housing regulations, reporting requirements for local governments, homestead exemption protections, regulations for transit-oriented developments, enforcement and legal recourse. And this bill significantly reforms to encourage affordable housing. And that is the bill, Madam Chair.
Very good. Thank you very much, Representative. Are there questions of the sponsor?
I have 5 amendments, Madam Chair, just so that you know.
Very good. Right. I think we had a question. Yes, Rep. Robinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I had a question. I wanted to know what's the consequence of changing the meaning of persons in the bill?
That's in an amendment.
That's an amendment? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll wait for the amendment.
Yes. Yes. Ranking Member Cross, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Lopez. I had a question. I believe it's on the bill. On line 638, this is related to mixed-use residential projects. There currently is a requirement that at least 65% of the total square footage be used for residential purposes. In your bill, this would essentially change it to 90% by ensuring that no more than 10% is used for non-residential. My question is, how will this impact the business community, which also may be struggling to find adequate commercial space in some of our urban areas?
Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what has been happening is, and I'll give you an example, there was a garden-style apartment building that was being built out in a very sort of what I'd call nice residential area, and the municipality was requiring 35% commercial, which would have made the deal obviously not, it didn't pencil out with commercial in it. And so basically what this is trying to do is say that you can't require more than 10% of commercial, because obviously more commercial means less housing and more cost to the project.
Is there a follow-up, Rep? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On a different part of the bill, on line 1232, this is related to accessory dwelling units. And some of the language would prohibit local governments from unreasonably increasing the cost to construct an ADU. My question is, would local governments or ordinances still require that ADUs be architecturally compatible with the style of the main home? That could include finishes, roof pitches, or paint schemes. Would that be something that local governments could still require, or would that be considered an unreasonable increase in cost?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So yes, it would. They could. It's just the cost to construct it, I believe, has been a real issue on the local level. So they have been prohibiting the construction of ADUs in many cases. So the style and design would be left to the local governments.
Any other follow-up? Any other questions? Yes. Rep. Pankowski, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Lopez, just to follow up on line 1232 and beyond regarding the accessory dwelling unit. So we saw a separate bill come in front of us on this exact same issue. So I have the same question here that I had there, which is why are we not limiting it to long-term rentals so that these are not used as Airbnbs, which would in effect not at all help with affordable housing?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. It is an amendment I'm going to make at the next stop. I agree with you. We've had a lot of municipalities, in particular the city of Miami Beach, that's had a ton of their housing inventory removed from the market and is now just being used for Airbnb. So we want to make sure that the intent of this particular section is solely for housing, people that would long-term live in these houses. So yes, thank you.
Is there a follow-up?
Yeah.
You're recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to follow along with that, you have a section about parking. I just want to make sure, are you considering that when you're renting an ADU that you will have additional parking requirements? Because you would assume there would be at least, South Florida, there's at least one car whenever you're renting out. Are you making adjustments there as well so that the cities can add parking requirements for the ADUs?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would like to use the term reasonable parking requirements. Oftentimes they tell you you have to have 3 spots, so you have to construct or expand your driveway in order to do so if there's not street parking. So I'm happy to work with you on some language that might alleviate some of that concern.
Any follow-up, Rep?
Thank
Yes,
you,
go
Madam
ahead.
Chair.
You're
Just one
recognized.
last. Would something like, depending on the square footage of the ADU and how much parking would be required based on square footage, be something you would be open to?
You're recognized.
Thank you. I would be open to it. I can tell you that in my district alone, I've knocked on a lot of doors, and I go back to the very end. There's a driveway that has been built separate and apart from the driveway that the residential owner uses for the ADU. So I've seen a lot of different types of parking that I think will work. So yes, I'd be very open to working with you on that.
Thank you. Members, any other questions of the sponsor? Representative Lopez, you are recognized to explain your amendment, barcode 492709. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this amendment provides technical tweaks to the following issues: to parcels owned by religious institutions or places of worship. The definition of allowable densities is included. It also addresses indirect actions that have the effect of restricting proposed multifamily or mixed-use residential development. It strikes language regarding damages for actions regarding moratoriums. It also addresses administrative approvals for proposed multifamily and mixed-use developments. And lastly, it allows for an ordinance designating a property as a historic landmark must be printed, or a digital map might be properly posted on by the state historic preservation officer. And that is the amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any questions on the amendment? Seeing none, is there public testimony on? Oh, sorry, back up. Yes, Ranking Member Cross, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Lopez, there's some language in here, I think it's starting around line 106, about highest density or highest allowable height, potentially within a 1 mile radius. So I'm just trying to think of what some of the implications of that may be in an area that has maybe a commercial corridor that has more traditional neighborhoods surrounding it, what some of the implications could be on that surrounding neighborhoods if you're looking out an entire city mile.
You're recognized.
Thank you. So the original live local, that is what the original live local and what is in statute today is a 1 mile radius, the highest height, the highest density, and the highest floor area ratio. Already contemplated original.
With testimony.
Springs. Before getting into city administration, I've served as a public and private sector planner. I'm AIC certified. So I'm coming from a planning perspective. We're all for affordable housing, but I think there are some unintended consequences that need further consideration. In the amendment, it speaks to church-owned property. Think of my community, which is a bedroom community. It's a suburbs, single family, 1 story, but we have churches nestled in our residential community. This bill will allow the live local allowances to pertain to the church properties. So a church property can now be developed at our maximum height and density, 19 units per acre, 8 stories, right adjacent to single story, single family. It's incompatible. These provisions shouldn't apply to all church-owned property. It needs to be more focused. Another provision that doesn't fit all communities like mine, again, as a suburban community, the mandatory parking reduction at line 212. We're not a central city, a downtown core. We're not a development-oriented development, transit-oriented development. Mandating parking reduction will not work in our community. We do not have alternate modes of transportation for the residents to get to work. 80% of our residents leave our community to go to work. And so this mandated parking reduction will not fit in a urban community and needs further consideration. And I'll keep mine brief to those 2 comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, we have Rebecca O'Hara, League of Cities, Deputy General Counsel. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Representative Lopez. We've discussed this bill at least once, and I'm sure we're going to continue to do so. So I do understand that this is a work, and I appreciate your assurances on the accessory dwelling units for the short-term rental issue. But moving to the amendment in front of you, one thing to note about this amendment is that it does expand the Live Local Act to potentially allow these projects to be put in any zoning category, including single family, and here's why. The amendment opens the Live Local Act up for application to property owned by a city or a county. It opens it up to planned unit developments, which means golf courses and open space and recreational areas could be converted to a Live Local Act high-rise project. It also specifies that it applies to all other zoning districts that are not exclusively single-family or duplex. What does that mean? It means that if you have a zoning district that's designated as agriculture, permissible uses in an agricultural area include agriculture, of course, but it also includes single-family homes, neighborhoods. Agricultural districts are fair game under this amendment. It also includes any land adjacent to a commercial, industrial, or a mixed-use residential area, including if those areas adjacent to are single-family. It also includes in the definition of mixed use any area in which non-residential is allowed as an ancillary or an accessory use. Virtually every single-family residential district in this state including one that I live in, residential preservation, allows for ancillary commercial uses. It's intended to support the people that live there so that they can walk to the assisted living facility to visit their mother or father, or they can go to a medical office around the corner instead of getting in their car. What we don't hopefully intend to do is allow this new definition of mixed use to get a foot in the door to allow high-rises in our single-family established residential neighborhoods. The definition of commercial, similarly, fails to exclude home-based businesses, and by virtue of that exclusion, it opens up single-family residential neighborhoods to be converted to Live Local Act projects.
Ms. O'Hara, if you could bring it in for a landing, that would be great.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you.
I could go into a lot more. I've provided written comments to you, and a lot of those comments still stand in spite of the amendments. I would urge you, though, if we are going to preempt affordable housing to the state, that we do keep in mind that you are throwing out good regulations along with the ones that you're trying to target.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Any others? All right, very good. We are at debate on the amendment. Is there any debate? Seeing none, we have Representative Lopez. You are recognized to close on the amendment.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I did want to just we have been working with the League of Cities, and I'm really grateful for Rebecca's comments. She'll be very happy to know that many of the items that she has described will be amended at the next stop, thanks to her good work. And so I'm excited to address all of these. I think she brings up very good points, which she did describe to me earlier in the month. And so we want to work really hard with her to make sure that some of that makes sense, like home-based businesses, like the churches. Obviously the intent is not to disturb residential areas. And she makes a very good point with regards to other lands. So I'm going to amend that as well. So I just wanted her to know that I am listening and I am working very closely to try to alleviate some of those concerns. And with that, I close.
Very good, thank you. All in favor of the amendment, say yay. Salzman would say that's very weak, but we'll give it a second go. All in favor, say yay. Yay, thank you. All opposed, say nay. Thank you. The amendment is adopted. Next, we have an amendment by Rep. Lopez, barcode number 429739. Representative Lopez, you're recognized to explain this amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment strikes Bill lines 932 through 1182. It's a whole section that really doesn't belong, with this particular bill, and that is the amendment.
Okay, very good. Are there questions on the amendment? No questions? Is there public testimony on this amendment? Seeing none, Representative Lopez, you're recognized to, is there any debate on the amendment? Seeing none, Representative Lopez, you are recognized to close on this amendment.
Waive close, Madam.
All in favor of this amendment, say yay, please. Yay. All opposed, nay. Very good. The amendment is adopted. Hold 1 second. And we have another amendment by Representative Lopez, barcode 011455. Representative Lopez, you're recognized to explain this amendment.
Yes, this amendment clarifies the accessory dwelling units include a manufactured home constructed on or after January 1st of 2025, which meets the National Manufactured Housing Construction and Safety Standards. And that is the amendment.
Very good. Questions on this amendment? Is there public testimony on the amendment? Yes, we have Lori Killinger, Florida Manufactured Housing Association, waiving in support. Any others? Very good. Is there debate on the amendment? Representative Lopez, you are recognized to close on the amendment.
Waive close.
All in favor say yay. Yay. All opposed, nay. The amendment is adopted. We have amendment by Representative Lopez, barcode 933125. Are you back? No, you can take it. Okay, I'm keeping on going, as long as we say yay loud enough for her. Representative Lopez, you're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment provides some technical tweaks by clarifying exceptions regarding proximity to runways, clarifies that both public and private sector employers partnering with developers must provide land and financial support for proposed housing projects. It defines the term persons as individuals, various business entities, legal representatives, fiduciaries, government bodies, and other legal and commercial entities. And lastly, clarifies the sovereign immunity waiver for fair housing discriminatory practices and specifies available legal remedies. That is the amendment, Madam Chair.
Very good. Are there questions on the amendment? Yes, Ranking Member. Oh, yes, ma'am. Rep Robinson, thank you. You're recognized.
Thank you. And now it's time for that question. I just wanted to know, what are some of the consequences of the changing of that meaning of persons?
Recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So basically, this is used as, in legal terms. When they say persons, we wanted to make sure that we understood persons to be all the people that would be involved in a legal case.
A follow-up?
Yes. So, I guess I want to know, where is it coming from? Is there something that happened? Can you give us an example of how this would play a part with this piece of legislation?
Recognized.
Thank you, Rep. Robinson, for that question. Yes, there was a case. There is a case now in the 4th DCA, which is a fair housing discrimination issue, and that is coming from that case. So we are trying to clarify the case in statute.
Okay. Are there any others? Is there public testimony? None. Seeing none, is there debate on the amendment? Seeing none, Rep. Lopez, you're recognized to close on the amendment.
Waive close, Madam Chair.
All in favor say yay. Yay. All opposed, nay. The amendment is adopted. And we are back on the bill as amended. Is there public testimony on the bill? And we have quite a bit of public testimony. Again, we'll try to limit speakers to 2 minutes, please. Kelly Millette, Florida Apartment Association. Thank you. Waves in support. Michael Blake, City of Cocoa, Mayor of City of Cocoa. Waves in opposition. It's opposition? Okay, waves in opposition. Okay. Mark, I'm not sure I can read this. Franks, is it? Town of Shalimar? Waves in opposition? Thank you. Susan Starkey, Town of Davie, Broward League of Cities, Florida League of Cities, is an opponent of the bill.
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Okay, you're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Representative Lopez. I know we're all struggling to try to come to terms to this, and as its current form, I have to say I'm opposed to the bill in its current form. By virtue of the many amendments that you see and the barcodes that you see before you, obviously it's a work in progress. And I thank you for some of what you're listening to, and I hope that you'll be listening to our municipalities and what we're trying to struggle to go through. There are many, many concerns, as you can well see. And I know that the legislation are also struggling to see how we can make this thing fit. But in its current form, we are strongly opposed, as you can see by the many people who have come here today to oppose this bill. So I would hope that, the effort that's here, I recognize and I thank you for that, but I still oppose the bill. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Joyce Dankin. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Mayor, City of Dania Beach, and waves in opposition. And please correct me if I mispronounce any names. David, very good. Thank you, ma'am. We have Terry D'Amico, Town Council of Bay Harbor Islands, is an opponent of the bill and wishes to speak. You're recognized.
Good afternoon, honorable representatives. I'm speaking on my own behalf, although I'm a town council member in Bay Harbor Islands. Expanding this bill 943 will sink Miami Beach. Our barrier islands cannot handle more development. I want to paraphrase the Sermon on the Mount. Fools build foundations on the sand, and when the rain falls and the winds come, it will fall. And it did. Because I looked directly at Champlain Towers, where 98 people died. And the class action suit, if you do read it, okay, and you follow the money, $500 million was paid by the new high-rise tower that is next door because the subterranean garage did not have any setbacks. And it went right up against a more fragile building. And this was the catalyst. And everything that you're doing here is one size fits all. And you have to look at what is existing before you can look at building anything new. And you're not protecting these older buildings. And in the meantime, you're scaring everybody. Without the knowledge of telling them what happened, you're making people move. We cannot handle the density, and all this is encouraging for developers to hand them a gift. Okay, we cannot, the traffic is so bad, we can't handle the density. As far as evacuation, it may be impossible. But recently, a University of Miami study proved it is the new buildings that are being built that are sinking, not the old ones. And I really ask you to defer this because expanding this bill is only encouraging developers to disregard all the planning and zoning that has given us as elected officials and our residents a voice on our future.
If you could bring it in for
Thank
landing,
you.
please, ma'am. Thank you very much for your time. Next, we have Tina Paul, Town of Surfside, the Vice Mayor, is an opponent of the bill. And wishes to speak. You're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, honorable representatives. I'm Tina Paul, Vice Mayor of Town of Surfside. I want to first extend my gratitude to all the state representatives who stood with us in Surfside during our tragedy. While we must always strive for better safety and accountability, many aspects of the legislation aimed at prevention are deeply flawed. 98 lives were tragically lost and 136 survivors were displaced. Yet current regulations disproportionately place responsibility on condo owners and boards while allowing unchecked development to continue. We still do not fully understand the cause of the Surfside collapse, yet we continue to build as if nothing has changed. HB943 is particularly concerning because it disregards voter-approved referendums designed to protect communities and quality of life. How will this bill impact barrier islands, already vulnerable to rising sea levels with historic height restrictions? Local zoning regulations exist to preserve communities like the historic Art Deco district and other cherished neighborhoods like Surfside. Moreover, increased density and height allowances benefit developers while neglecting the necessary infrastructure upgrades to support them. Rising costs are displacing longtime condo residents, yet there is no commitment to affordable housing or assurances that existing communities won't be pushed out. I urge you to respect local zoning regulations that safeguard the character and integrity of our cities. Development must be accountable to neighboring properties and contribute to the infrastructure necessary to accommodate growth responsibly. Miami-Dade County has already seen exponential increases in population and building sizes, yet our infrastructure has not kept pace.
You could bring it in. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I strongly urge you to withdraw HB 943 and stop prioritizing developer benefits over community well-being.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And with that, I turn the gavel back over to our honorable chair, Rep. Salzman.
Thank you, ma'am.
Returning.
Does this mean I yield the power of the hammer? I'm just curious.
Yes, ma'am. The
Thank
hammer
you,
is all
thank you.
yours, like Thor.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Thor. I want to be, is it Superwoman? And somebody said, when you're Superwoman and you walk in the door, your lasso of truth turns black. I'm dead. Probably shouldn't have said that. Okay. So next up we have Tracy Kalari, who waves in opposition, City of Hollywood, Broward League, Florida. Penny Gold, Town of Longboat Key, waves in opposition. Commissioner Melissa Dunn, City of Lauderhill, FLC, Commissioner, waves in opposition. Kim Dinkins, 1000 Friends of Florida, waves in opposition. And then we have Dorothea Taylor Bogart, City of Auburndale, the mayor. Thank you for being here, guys, by the way. Waves in opposition. We have oh, mercy. Hoebner, Hobney. Sorry. Maybe J. FNBA is info only. Are you here today, info only? Okay. Well, we'll put that aside. If you come back, we'll chat. Frank Lopala, FHBA, AVP, info only. Okay. You made this easy for me, Vice Chair. Courtney Maney, Florida Association of Counties, is an opponent. Would you like to speak? Yes, ma'am. Whenever you get up here, you are recognized.
Chair, member of the committees, Courtney Mooney from the Florida Association of Counties. We appreciate the sponsor having an open door and always listening to our concerns. Unfortunately, at this time, we are opposed to the bill. We understand the intention to streamline affordable housing, but I do want to point out some concerns that we have. The preemptions to the state are overly broad and take away innovative and incentive-based housing strategies and lock us into only the approaches outlined in the bill. The mandating the authorization of multifamily and mixed-use residential allowable uses on county land is problematic, as the county may have purchased or saved that land for another resource. Authorizing affordable housing on adjacent parcels of land, regardless of the land's land use designation, can result in affordable housing being built on agricultural land. But we look forward to continuing to speak with Representative Lopez to fix our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. We have up next, wave in opposition, Deputy Mayor Yvette Drucker, City of Boca Raton. We have April Thanos, Gulfport, Councilor, waves in opposition. Mark Ryan, retired City Manager, waves in opposition. Ricky Butler, City of Pinellas Park, Council Member, waves in opposition. And Tony Deal, City of Seminole, City Manager, waves in opposition. Woody Brown, City of Largo Mayor, waves in opposition. Al Schroeder as a councilor, waves in opposition. Cal Rolfson, City Mount Dora, council member, waves in opposition. Don Willis, Cape Canaveral councilman, waves in opposition. Trish Pfeiffer, City of Banto, Mayor, are you present? Do you wish to speak? Can you tell me the city you're a mayor and say your name? I can't read the handwriting.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Bartow.
I'm sorry. Just a second.
Oops.
My phone went missing, and now that's find my iPhone. I apologize, guys. Go ahead. You're recognized.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair and members. Rep. Lopez, we definitely appreciate your efforts in this bill. I know you've said it's been a year. We understand that. Affordable housing is an issue that, of course, we all are struggling with in all of our cities. Here are just a couple of concerns that we have, though, and that is taking our oversight and control away is tough. You know, citizens will let you know when they don't like something. So we will be hearing a lot, let's just say if the bill were to go through the way it is. Here's one. Cities could get sued for enforcing basic rules, like sidewalks, enough parking. We have developments now that the setbacks are so short, F-150 trucks are sticking out into the curb, and so it's just not safe because people are having to park in the street because the setbacks are so short. So we want to make sure we can protect our citizens. Let me get over here. Oh, developers, here we go. Makes taxpayers pay for developers' cost. Our citizens will lose their minds on this. They accuse us now of not charging enough impact fees. So that is one that, and we can't afford to absorb those costs. I'm trying to wrap it up because I know there's a lot. There's so much in this bill, and I'm grateful that you will work with Rebecca. She is awesome, and she understands, and she does bring up good points. We have a affordable housing project right now that is about 400 units downtown, and they want to use tax credits, and they have applied for 2 years, and they can't get them. So that's an issue as well. And at the end of the day, affordable housing efforts have to result in lower rents. If they don't result in lower rents, and there's only a percentage that have to do that,
Ma'am, you're past time, 30 seconds past time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Sorry. We have City of Stark Commissioner Daniel Nugent. City Commissioner waives in opposition. Bob Milner, City of Stark, waives in opposition. Betsy Jordan, Northeast Florida League of Cities, Executive Director, waives in opposition. B.J. Lowry, City of Crescent City, Vice Mayor, waives in opposition. City of Satellite Beach, Steve Osmer, the Mayor, waives in opposition. Nick Walsh, City of Satellite Beach, Support Services Director, waives in opposition. Tom Barnhorn, thank you for rewriting that so I could read it, from Seminole. He's a counselor, waives in opposition. Brittany Rutherford, City of Satellite Beach, City Manager, waives in opposition. Suzanne Sherman, City of Satellite Beach, Assistant City Manager, waives in opposition. Dennis Dawson, City of Mount Dora, City Council Member, waives in opposition. Judith Fire from Groveland, thank you, Florida, Councilwoman, waives in opposition. Diana Adams, City of West Melbourne, City Council Member, waives in opposition. Austin Gaylord, City of West Melbourne and Space Coast League of Cities, City Councilman, waives in opposition. Andrea Young, City of West Melbourne, Mayor, waives in opposition. Lena Beck, Pinellas Park. Cat Rehab Administrator, waives in opposition. Commissioner Alex Fernandez, City of Miami Beach, is an opponent of the bill. Do you wish to speak, sir? Thank you. And thank you all for being here. I know I'm reading through this quickly, but I just want to just take a moment and thank each of you for coming here today. Sir, you're recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Alex Fernandez. I serve as a commissioner in the City of Miami Beach. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today regarding HB 943. And first, I want to thank Representative Vicki Lopez for meeting with us yesterday and for her willingness to hear our concerns and to work with us through those concerns. While we have serious reservations about certain provisions in the bill, I'm grateful for the respectful dialogue and the opportunity to provide input. In Miami Beach, we're deeply committed to creating housing for the missing middle, those increasingly being priced out of our community. And we've taken a thoughtful local approach to this challenge. One of my colleagues is advancing legislation to allow increased heights for non-luxury housing along more than 1 mile of Washington Avenue, one of our major commercial corridors. I'm sponsoring zoning legislation to bring attainable housing to our iconic and historic Lincoln Road. These local initiatives eliminate outdated parking mandates. They increase unit counts and expand housing opportunity for those in the missing middle, those who don't qualify for workforce but who are being priced out of our communities. And those are our nurses, our teachers, our professionals who are being pushed out. And together, these housing policies we're advancing locally could result in over 3,600 new residential units, all within floor area ratio and height limits that respect the scale and the character of Miami Beach. And that's why we're concerned about the bill's preemption of local height and FAR standards, as well as provisions that eliminate supermajority voting thresholds for height and FAR changes. And the reason why we're concerned with that is that will directly impact our historic districts, our Art Deco collection of buildings.
Bring it in. I'm sorry, you're past time.
Thank you. Well, those are low-scale districts that could potentially be replaced with buildings up to 500 feet tall, and that's a significant change. So we support more housing, but it must be done responsibly in the context that fits our community. Again, Representative Lopez, thank you so much for your willingness to work with us. We look forward to providing constructive feedback, and we understand this is just the beginning of the process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Claudia Thomas, City of Sanford City Commissioner, waves in opposition. Megan Sladek, Mayor of Oviedo. There's a lot of cursive, and I can read cursive, but not when it's like this. So I'm sorry. Trying to get you on the record, but it's hard. Waves in opposition. We have Daphne Sainville with City of Fort Lauderdale, waves in opposition. City of Orlando, Antonio Ortiz, City Commissioner, waves in opposition. Lisa Kane DeVito, City of Crescent City and Putnam County, Florida, Commissioner, waves in opposition. Tom Reed, Suncoast League of City President, waves in opposition. Rebecca O'Hara, Florida League of Cities, Deputy General Counsel, is an opponent of the bill and wishes to speak. Ma'am, you are recognized. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Me again. You know, it's funny, you get up here at this podium and suddenly your throat goes dry and your hands start to shake. It doesn't matter whether you're presenting the bill or speaking on the amendment. Thank you for your patience and your indulgence with us today. On the bill itself, very quickly, I wanted to point out something to you that wasn't addressed in any of the amendments, and that's at lines 928 through 931. This language requires administrative approval of any kind of urban infill development, regardless of the size or type of development. It provides there would be no comprehensive plan amendment, rezoning, or variance required for this development. This language will take a wrecking ball for our urban infill areas. It will lead to widespread gentrification of minority-owned neighborhoods, and urban infill includes pretty much every city. And I would hope that this language is taken a very hard look at to scale back some of its potential for devastation. And given Representative Lopez's assurances to work on the remainder of the bill, I'm confident we can get that addressed. But I think the way you look at this bill, one thing that strikes me about it is it presents two different visions of Florida. One vision is a vision of high-rises and concrete canyons. I know that there is definitely a need for affordable housing, but the truth is most cities in this state are suburban and low-rise in nature. They were developed and built after World War II. These places are highly dependent on the automobile, for good or for bad. We are 50 years behind in getting adequate transit and buses and sidewalk and pedestrian safety and bike access in many places in our community. Eliminating and reducing minimum parking requirements everywhere across the state is way premature before we have the infrastructure to protect our pedestrians adequately and get them from point A to point B. Everyone desires more affordable housing. I realize I'm coming to a close here. And the thing is, we need to see this for what it is and ensure that the nature of our communities and our neighborhoods are protected, but also open the door for allowing responsible and managed development that fosters and incentives affordable housing.
Thank you.
Thank
you, ma'am. Next up, we have Cynthia Burton, Crescent City, Florida, Commissioner, is an opponent of the bill. Do you wish to speak? I don't see a hand raised. We will waive in opposition then. Nope. Or would you? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We will make the note. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. James L. Homick, City of Mount Dora, the mayor, is an opponent of the bill. Is that you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You are recognized.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to approach this from a little different perspective. 75 years ago, my predecessor and city forefathers came to Tallahassee to stop them from building 441 through the center of Mount Dora. Since then, we've been working on preserving Mount Dora, generation after generation. And we have a National Historic District. We have historic codes. We have a beautiful downtown. And this bill offers anyone who wants to come in and build whatever they want in this long-fought, long-protected area of our city. And the idea that it's all based on affordable housing, well, there are plenty of ways to do affordable housing. We've got projects going right now that are providing affordable housing in Mount Dora. And we also have an ADU going through our Planning and Zoning Commission right now to put in ADUs. We have, we donate lots whenever we can to Habitat for Humanity. So there is constant work on this issue at the local level. And to put in a bill like this will devastate what 75 years of Mount Dora residents have been trying to preserve. So I appreciate your time. And please vote no.
Thank you for being here. Jay Harbor with FNBA. Now that we have the name penciled in, I hear you would like to speak in opposition? Or info only? Jay Harbor? No? Okay, I apologize. We just tried to go back to one of the names I couldn't read. I want to make sure everybody feels heard today. We have Etta Fernandez with AARP, waves in support. Carrie Hebrank, Florida Home Builders Association, waves in support. Murphy Gearing, Florida Realtors, waves in support. Etta Fernandez, AARP, Senior Associate State Director of Advocacy, waves in support. And we have Joseph Harmon, the Florida Conference of Catholic Bishops, Policy Coordinator, waves in support. Steve Shale, CDS Housing, waves in support. Colton Maddle, Florida Chamber of Commerce, waves in support. And that is all. Members having completed public testimony, we are now in debate on this amazing bill. We will start with Representative Schoaf, then we will go to Representative Hunchowski, and we will take a list from there. You are recognized. Oh, wow. I just panhandle, you know, Shane, Representative Abbott, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Representative Lopez, for having such an open door. This is the beginning of the process, and it's obvious how hard you work on different things. I've sat there and watched you take notes as everybody was speaking, and you were writing down what good ideas and all are, and you've already addressed the fact that you're going to amend it even more. But for this process to work, we have to continue going through this. Thank you to all of you that showed up today and spoke out. The reason you showed up and spoke out and have gone to her office is because we have that bill agenda today. And so I'm going to be up today so that we can carry on that conversation, so that so that you guys will still continue to work through that thing. I do have lots of concerns, so thank you for addressing a lot of them. And I look forward to also working with you on a lot of them, because high rises in Miami fits. High rises in Defuniak don't. So I'm going to be up today just because I know you're going to continue working on this so that we can get it right.
Thank you, Representative Abbott, not Schoaf. And next up, Representative Hunchowski, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I too want to commend Representative Lopez for all the work. I know you are one of the hardest working state representatives here. There were several concerns, some of which I mentioned in questioning, and I'm really glad that you're going to be working on those. There are a lot of other concerns, including on lines 541, waiving impact fees. Anybody who lives in Broward County right now knows we don't have enough of anything for the development that's already coming in. As somebody who comes from local government, I have to say, It's sometimes offensive to hear some of the things that get said up here about local government. We live in the communities that we represent back home. We can't go anywhere in the community without someone coming to us. I mean, my kids wouldn't go grocery shopping with me anymore when they were younger because we couldn't get out of Publix, where shopping is a pleasure, except there are a lot of discussions till you get through all the shopping. And, you know, the people who work in local government and represent in local government are at the forefront of everything. What we do up here, a lot of people at back home have no clue what we do up here. And you know who hears about everything we do up here, the good, the bad, and the ugly, are the people who came to wave in opposition today. And they have to be part of this discussion, and I'm glad they are a part of this discussion. This bill will come up again for me in Commerce, so I will see it in its final iteration. Because I have worked with you and because I know how much you care and how much you're willing to listen, I will be up today, but I will be looking for a lot of the concerns that we have talked about in the final committee. And to the local electeds here, I don't care what anybody says, you literally have the hardest job. I know you care about your communities and you really, really care about the people you serve. And I want to thank you for coming up here and for constantly being part of the discussion, because we couldn't do what we do well without you as our partners.
Thank you. From former mayor and now representative. I appreciate that insight. Next up, we have Representative Redondo. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I won't belabor the points about how hard I know you've worked on this issue, Rep. Lopez, and I think we heard it from many of the folks who came up here, even to wave in opposition, that you are the right person for this. You do have that open door, and I know you're going to continue to work with folks like the League of Cities and all the various mayors and other council folks that came up. The only thing I just wanted to add is, as you know, I'm also from Miami-Dade County, but nowhere near the city of Miami, right? I have no high rises. I own a condo actually in Rep. Lopez's district where my parents live, so I'm very sensitive to the issues. But even in Miami-Dade, we have a I would say pretty desperate need for affordable housing. And this is the kind of thing that we do need in order to try and move forward because, of course, again, although condos may not make sense out in West Kendall where I'm at, we certainly do have a need for it. And again, I just wanted to commend you for that and to reiterate the point that many of these folks have come to visit with me as well. And we do hear your concerns. And I think we have the right sponsor here to make sure that those concerns are addressed going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Vice Chair Gossett Seidman. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I want to thank Rep. Lopez. She, as many people know, I was 5 years a town commissioner, and I understand, based upon that, where a lot of our speakers and those voicing in opposition may be coming from. I can tell you, if anyone spends like 6 days not sleeping, it would be Rep. Lopez working on her bills. I can tell you that from personal experience. And she is a very hardworking person and will take every comment to heart. In my district, which is a mixture of tourist, long-term family, and single family, and kids age newborn to 30 still living at home, and then west part is farming and a lot of ag. In my district, there are very mixed feelings on this. Parts of my district, you can build anything you want in the backyard. What is it, Tommy Lee Jones quote? Anything like an outhouse, a hen house, a dog house, a warehouse, and nobody minds. Other places you put up 2 feet of fence and you've got the code guy there. So we will continue to work together. I'm up today because I know she's going to take every phone call and email and take it to heart, and we will try to get the best bill we can for the public and the whole state. And with that, I thank the rep once again.
Thank you. Next up in debate, we have Ranking Member Cross. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Lopez, I appreciate the many conversations that we've had about this bill and your ability to address some of the things that in St. Petersburg we're trying to do to leverage relationships with the faith community and provide opportunities for affordable housing there. So thank you for that. I do know that you're going to continue to work on concerns that we've heard today. I think that this bill is not quite there yet because we do need to make sure that we're striking a balance that recognizes the uniqueness of all of our different municipalities and our counties. I'm a proponent of more density in the right places because I think it helps to maintain some more areas for conservation and agriculture. So I want to make sure that this bill allows us to maintain some of that working agriculture, that we're not expanding into those places where we need that for our food security and for some of our wildlife and wetland and water supply considerations. Also want to make sure that some things related to parking are appropriate, particularly when we don't have a robust public transportation system in place. If we, had subways and rails and trains everywhere, then it might be a different consideration, but we have to make sure that we have some of that infrastructure in place. So I'm excited to keep working on this with you, which is why I'm going to be a yes today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Representative Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to thank Representative Lopez because I know that affordable housing is needed. And I do know that she works very hard. She's actually come and done townhomes with me also. However, when it comes to this piece of legislation, it's not there yet. I also come from local government, and recognizing that housing is an issue, I also recognize that government is closest to the people at home. We're here at the state level, and we do have a broad eye view, but the everyday Floridian lives in a city where they have a commissioner or a mayor or a council person that they get to talk to on a regular basis, and that person lives there, so they really knows what their needs are. And I'm just concerned about the preemption that we're taking away from the local government. Florida is a very large state. We have 67 counties, and they're different. And for us to have a one-size-fits-all is not beneficial. And I know being here in the legislature, a lot of times we rush into things and we don't get it right. And then we have to come back and address the unintended consequence. I was up on Live Local previously because I know that we do need the housing, and I want to be up again on this one. So I'm just going to ask that as you continue, which I know you will do, let's look at how we're going to work with local government. We can't just open our doors completely to developers because then they're not willing to compromise when they have it just their way. So I want to look at some of those preemptions and look at some of those impact fees on how we can bring it to a balance where it's going to truly benefit all Floridians. And so, thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have Representative Franklin. You're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to say thanks to Rep. Lopez for your hard work on this bill. It's such a complicated issue. Obviously, we're all so concerned with attainable housing across the entire state of Florida. There's so many constituents here today also in the crowd that have been able to bring their concerns to you as well. That's how this process works. We have to get a bill on the agenda, and then we get to find out where people stand on the issue. And I do have full confidence you will have an open door policy because you do have a public servant's heart. So I'm looking forward to you navigating all the concerns and the grave concerns I even have, which I know you will, to be able to continue to support this throughout the process. And so I know it's not easy. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders, but I do have confidence in that. At the same time, to the folks in the crowd, I want you to know that thanks so much for showing up and engaging in this conversation because Rep. Lopez will for sure, of course, have an open door policy. But at the same time, I know Rep. Lopez can't make everyone happy as well. And so at the end of the day, we do need to find a balance where it makes sense to grow inventory, but to allow the flexibilities in local governments to kind of do what's best for their local government. But at the same time, we want to make sure that bureaucracy and just because someone feels a certain type of way is not blocking the ability for folks to attain housing. So I'll be up on the bill today, of course. I'll see this again in Commerce and on the floor. But for sure, I do have grave concerns, and I'm looking forward to your hard work as you continue to do what you do best, which is work hard towards a better future for Florida.
Thank you, members, and I believe that concludes debate, unless there are any other members that would wish to debate. Okay, so I'll close out debate with just giving a couple of comments. I apologize for missing the presentation of the bill. I was presenting a bill in another committee. I just want to commend Representative Lopez on a phenomenal job. I see all the comment cards. I see the 20 or 30 mayors and councilmen and commissioners out here in the audience, and I'll tell you, it's part of why we put the bill up. We had no idea we had so much going on in this bill, and Jean sitting to my right, your left, in the audience has worked day and night on this, and we just had so much in there. We felt it was critical. We put it on agenda because we don't know what we don't know. So we put the bill on agenda. We see the concerns. We see you. That was the whole reason why we did it. We started off this session saying we wanted a member-driven process for the people, for Floridians, and that's what you're seeing today. So we put the bill up. I see the concerns. I know that Representative Lopez sees the concerns, and we wanted to see the people come out. We wanted to hear from you, and you couldn't come and talk until you saw the product. So we've published the product. We've talked about it today. We created a couple of amendments. We passed that. So I just want you to know, as members of the committee, as well as members of the audience and constituents of Florida, that this is just the beginning, and none of us have any doubt that Representative Lopez, the sponsor of this legislation, will continue to work really hard to get to a place that most of us can agree is a good spot. With that, I'll let you close, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I do want to remind you all, I too was a county commissioner and could not get to Publix without my son saying, we're not going to the grocery store anymore. So I'm painfully aware of the job that the people who sit behind me today have. I get that there is this notion that their voices need to be heard, and they have been heard loud and clear here today. I pledge to you all, this is, in fact, a work in progress. I always like to say you throw everything but the kitchen sink in here, and then you start to parse out those things that don't fit while still trying to get to the legislative intent of building housing. And I will leave you with this. The city of Austin, Texas was one of the most expensive cities to live in all of America, believe it or not. Small little rural capital of Texas. You could not find any affordable housing anywhere around it until they did a similar bill. And all of a sudden, long and behold, the inventory is far greater than the demand. The prices are so low that they are now giving 2 months free rent, $600 as benefits for amenities. And I think that that's where we all want to get to, where Floridians don't have to flee the state anymore. And I mean, our seniors are leaving and our young folks are leaving, our young professionals, because they simply can't afford to live here. And so even 2 years after we passed Live Local, we still don't have housing. And I believe that many of the good actors that came up here today to tell us that they are working on it, I believe they are. But you must know that there have been other creative tactics to get around the Live Local, to find ways not to comply with that law, and that is why we are here today. So I pledge to you that I will continue to work with each and every one of you, as well as those who represent our local governments. And with that, I close, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Having closed on our bill, Kimberly, please call the roll and announce the vote.
Chair Salzman?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gossett-Simon?
Yes.
Ranking Democratic Member Cross?
Yes.
Representatives Abbott?
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Booth?
Yes.
Costello?
No.
Cassell? Franklin?
Yes.
Onchowski?
Yes.
Lopez? Mooney?
Yes.
Hardington?
Yes.
Persons Mullica? Redondo?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Tremont? Tuck?
Yes.
14 yeas, 1 nay.
Show the bill passes. Congratulations. Members, is there any comments or concerns that you'd like to bring forth before we close the committee? Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring forward? No? Okay. Well, I really appreciate your patience today and your support as we move forward. If you have any questions, reach out. With no objection, Representative Redondo shows the meeting adjourned.